close to, but we'll continue to be, there's no place for us to go. We've been told to stay where we are, and we'll certainly do that. Yeah, there is another lull, it seems, and what we'd like to do is check in with our other colleagues up and down the cable news network and see what they can report to us. So for now, we'll stand by in Baghdad.
John Peter Burney, thank you very much. I'd like to make a correction and an update on an earlier report we had from a pool reporter, Jim Hickey. We had said that he was in Dhahran, and we'd like to correct that. He was reporting from an air base in Saudi Arabia when he reported the sound of incoming missiles. He further updated that he believed they were Scud missiles.
Hi, Atlanta. We're about to have a short course in missile identification. This is a Scud. You can tell it by its distinctive label. Now, when the missile is launched, the first thing you look for is the plume sticking out behind it. Now, when you detect this, you can tell it's been launched. Thank you.
Before he had to seek shelter and obey orders to get out of it.
Jesus Christ.
Now, the sound that came through the window there in the hotel, we have indications that the B-52s could be on scene because that blast was so large. We go to Wolf Blitzer now at the Pentagon.
David, here at the Pentagon only moments ago, CNN has been told that the initial reports reaching the Pentagon from Operation Desert Shield's headquarters in Riyadh, that's CENTCOM, are very positive. It is an air campaign at this point, strictly an air campaign, very carefully orchestrated, rehearsed over many, many weeks and months. The officials with whom we have discussed say that there are no reports so far of any U.S. fighter aircraft or bombers destroyed. Anything along those lines. Indeed, there is a confidence. There is at this point here at the Pentagon all the indications that this United States assault is moving just as it has been planned now for many, many weeks. Back to you, David.
Charles Jaco is standing by for us in Dhahran. We remember when we last saw him, he was hastily grabbing a gas mask and getting out of there. Charles, you're back. I'm glad to see that. Please update us. Do we have Charles Jaco?
We're now told.
Go ahead.
We're now told it was a national air raid alarm, a national air raid alarm that did not affect the situation here right now. Apparently what happened was the air raid alarms went off. We were told to go into the basement with our gas masks. All the crews left the camera platforms here, and as I was in the middle of my report, the power was cut. Everyone here is fine. What we have been led to understand by the Saudi military is that the U.S. and allied airstrike against Iraq has been what the Saudi military calls massive, and they underline the word massive. They say there has been no indication of any sort of Iraqi retaliation so far, that no missiles and no planes have been sighted coming from Iraq towards Saudi Arabia or indeed any place else. They emphasize that this could change and that we are to stand by. I have here the remainder of the pool report on the launching of the strike that basically fills us in a little bit that the first wave of F-15s took off about 3 hours and 10 minutes ago. Right now, near this airbase where we are, everything is fine, but again, the Saudi military sources say there is no evidence of any Iraqi retaliatory strike against Saudi Arabia or against Israel. That could change. They describe the U.S. assault on the U.S. and allied assault on Iraq as massive, using mammoth amounts of air power, but as far as they're able to ascertain, no B-52 bombers were in use. That's according to the Saudi military. We here are all fine. The entire CNN crew is fine. All the journalists here are fine. But again, it was a false alarm by Saudi National Civil Defense. Right now, the skies are quiet. There are no planes flying over. It's rather cloudy and overcast, but there is no indication no indication at all of any kind of aerial activity from here. Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Saudi Arabia.
All right, Charles, thank you, and we're glad to hear that was a false alarm. We should remind our viewers that we don't have a CNN presence in Kuwait City. We are unable to bring you news from there right now. Wolf Blitzer was reporting from the Pentagon. When we interrupted him to go back to Charles Jaco, we went back, of course, because we had lost touch with him suddenly. Wolf, picking up where you were, please.
Yes, David, the initial indications are that this U.S. airstrike is moving along very smoothly. No reports yet of any U.S. Aircraft downed or anything like that. What we have been told is that the initial U.S. targets in Iraq and occupied Kuwait were anything that could endanger U.S. aircraft, especially anti-aircraft missile batteries, all of the Iraqi radar jamming installations. The U.S. has sent in what are called F-4G Wild Weasel and EF-111 Raven. These are defense suppression aircraft. Basically what they do is zap almost all of the communications in and around Iraq, making it very difficult for the Iraqi radars to hone in on the invading U.S. aircraft. The indications are very, very positive from the U.S. point of view here at the Pentagon that this U.S. airstrike is moving according to the game plan, which I reported earlier was very carefully orchestrated over these past many months. David?
Wolf, in the weeks and months leading up to this, there's been a lot of diplomacy and some failed diplomacy, and among the things that went on, Saddam Hussein made some threats. Among them were to do grave damage to Tel Aviv if he were attacked.